So the next thing I think is important to talk about is the annual mailing packet. There's another way that we disseminate information to our homeowners. This is one of those that's required by the Civil Code. And in that, what we always call the budget pack, we call it the annual packet. It's got different names and different associations. That packet's pretty darn important. And it gives out information. I could probably tell you that in the last month, I don't have any associations that I manage. I've had 10 phone calls from homeowners who say, could you send me that insurance document? Did you get the annual packet? Oh, I got the packet, but I've left it someplace. They obviously don't read the packet necessarily, but I'll bet you what, I'll bet you they would read it if they knew what it contained. And how are they going to read that stuff if it starts out in the wrong direction? If you all can get a copy of the Weathering Lows Association and read that little short paragraph there, you'll get a sense of how I've seen a lot of budget mailing packets start out. And I can tell you, the Weathering Lows HOA is not the way I would do it. But if you glance at that and then turn it over and read the Weathering Heights HOA, you'll see the same message delivered totally differently. The message here is, as you get a chance to speak to your homeowners, you want to use positive language. Oh, poor me, we've had such a bad year, and we've spent so much money, and now we need more money, and oh, it's terrible. Doesn't sound good to anybody, no matter how you phrase it. But if you talk about the great things we've done in the community, how we've made these repairs and solved these problems, and now we're going to keep on moving forward. By the way, there's a small increase in assessments necessary to make that happen. They get it. And they work with that a whole lot better. Again, it's all a matter of how we choose to communicate with everybody and let them know that we're really working on their behalf. And they'll appreciate that. So I provided these samples to you just so you'd get a sense of what I'm talking about. Weathering Lows is not the recommendation. Weathering Heights is more the recommendation. And you certainly can find ways to structure the language in your letter so that it gives the message you want them to have. We know the packet has between 20 and 50 pages in it, depending on what you're passing out to your HOA. And for them to understand what's in it and get through it, most people will get through the first page. They might start the second page, but by that time they've gotten pretty bored with this whole thing and they'd quit reading it. So what Bill's suggesting is that that front page be like a table of contents where it's not only is it positive in nature, encouraging them to keep reading, but it kind of identifies what's in this packet that you've got in your hand here. If they only want to look at one or two things, then they'll know right where to go to in that. So that's one way you can make that happen. Now, again, those annual packets might be put together by the management company, by our company, and it goes together quickly and fast. But if you have an interest in making yours a little bit above and beyond, then get involved in that. Talk to your manager about how you'd like to see it structured and see if we can't make it happen that way. And there are things you cannot do in this annual packet, so your manager is going to guide you as to what will work and what won't work. But again, my point is that this is a method of communication to your homeowners that you want them to get. And you want them to know that every year your insurance company needs to know what our insurance company has in the insurance packet. That document's in this annual packet. Every year you want to know what our budget looks like and how much money you have to pay in on a monthly basis to the HOA. That document's in this packet. And by the way, here's the great things we've done in the community is always a nice thing to put in that packet. I think that's a really important packet that goes out. And the only reason it goes out, of course, is because the Civil Code requires it. I bet you there aren't too many HOAs out there that would even bother to mail it if it wasn't required by law. And now, what you're going to see happening probably in the next 5 years, I'll prophesy a little bit here, we're going to see the state legislature force us to create a bound rules book with an actual binding on it that will be included in the packet. They're already talking about it. They're trying to make it much easier for the homeowner to understand what's going on. And of course, the homeowners simply want it to be cheaper, and the legislature is making it more expensive. It's just the way it goes. But if we can do good in communicating to our homeowners, making those packets look good and feel good, then we may stave off the legislature and help them to see we already do a pretty good job of things here. So the packet contains insurance information, which is pretty important to them. it may contain some of your rules and regulations. It must contain a document that talks about how to make an architectural variance request if in fact that's required. And here again, in many associations I see they just put the form in there that says, here's the request form if you want it. And what I'd like to think we'd do is have a document that says, by the way, we love it when people improve their homes, and the thing to remember in our association is that as you go to improving your home, anything you approve on the outside requires that we approve it so that things are standardized in the community, and you can even tuck in there that you're doing this because the civil code says you have to do it that way. It's not like we, the board, are making these rules so we can check on you and see what you're doing and control how you modify your home. It's because the civil code says we have to get involved in this process for the improvement and betterment of the community. That's part of the board's job. So they need to understand why you're doing it, and it's not because you're mean guys, it's because you're doing what the board's required to do in your fiduciary duty.